Justin Jefferson is where in the wide receiver rankings? The disrespect is real, and it's getting insane. Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson is the best in the National Football League. You could even make a real argument that he's the best player in the National Football League. Well, apparently, people in the NFL don't seem to agree. And these rankings that Jeremy Fowler's releasing are getting crazy. Now, Jeremy Fowler does a really good job of sourcing and talking to executives, coaches, and personnel within the National Football League to get the best player rankings at each position. And, well, Wednesday had the release of the wide receivers. And let me tell you, it was crazy. Justin Jefferson ranked second. One, that's already incorrect. But if you want to make an argument that Jamar Chase is slightly better, okay. It's at least somewhat logical. And when it comes to the wide receiver position, it's hilarious that the two best in the National Football League played on the same college team in 2019 at LSU and won a national championship. Wild to think about. But Jefferson's better than Chase. He holds more NFL records than Chase. In fact, I don't even know if Chase holds an NFL record. Jefferson has the most receiving yards through 2, 3, 4, and 5 seasons, plus has 9 more receiving yards per game in his career than Jamar Chase does, who is second. Justin Jefferson has 9 more yards per game than any other player in National Football League history. Think about that for a second. That's an insane stat. And he's arguably the best route runner and has the best hands in the league, said one NFL executive to Jeremy Fowler. If he's got the best hands and the best route running ability, which you could argue are the two most important things for a wide receiver to have, how could he rank second? Furthermore, one personnel member ranked him fourth. Fourth! How in the world can you look me dead in the eye? Right here. See? Right here. That he's fourth in the National Football League. Fourth! Fourth! It's insane. Now, I understand when you take a look at all things from a perspective standpoint. I cover the Minnesota Vikings. I have the most exposure to the Minnesota Vikings. I've been a Minnesota Vikings fan my entire life. There can be some inherent bias there. When I look from an outside perspective, I try to understand why he might be lower, why a Vikings player might be viewed differently from their perspective than they would from mine, because I think that's important in understanding your biases. Jefferson's the best wide receiver in the NFL, and I don't think it's super close. I think Chase has an argument, but I don't think it's a strong one. Yeah, he has more touchdowns. Touchdowns are random. Touchdowns are not always a good indicator. Why? Think about Calvin Johnson's 1,964-yard season. He had 5 touchdowns. Why? He got tackled inside the 5-yard line at least half a dozen times. Yeah, it matters. That's why touchdowns are not a great indicator of success as a wide receiver. It's how many touchdowns the offense scores, how successful the team is from that perspective. If the team is one of the best offenses in the league and you only get 5 touchdowns, but your tight end and the other wide receiver get 10 apiece, but you're the dominant force running that offense, that's fine. Jefferson's touchdown numbers are objectively fine as well. He had 10 last year. But to put him fourth, it's just bonkers. And even when you take out looking from different perspectives, even when you talk about biases, there's no argument to have him fourth. None whatsoever. Even the season where he was injured and missed 7 games, he became one of 3 players in NFL history to have 1,000 yards on 10 or fewer games played. One of those was Don Hutson, who is in the Hall of Fame as a wide receiver for the Green Bay Packers in the 40s and 50s. Hudson was an incredible football player. 99 touchdowns in that era is absurd. Now, we talk about touchdowns being random, and they are. But we're talking about an era that did not throw the ball, and when they did, they were not that successful or efficient with it. So for a receiver to have those kind of numbers is just crazy to think about. Jefferson's the best wide receiver in the game. If you want to go second, okay, I'll give you that. I'll give you Jamar Chase. But at the end of the day, there is really no comparison. CeeDee Lamb doesn't have an argument. A.J. Brown doesn't have an argument. Puka Nacua doesn't have an argument. It's Justin Jefferson. Not having Jefferson first or second. It's just wild. The disrespect is real, and it needs to stop. I'm Tyler Forness with A to Z Sports. It's called Vikings.